is a DJ Underground exclusive.
Pour le roi, la justice pourquoi? La justice nique sa mère. Le dernier juge que j'ai vu avait plus de risques que le dealer de ma
1, 2, 3, 4.
Now I'm staying in a campsite now because I got tired of moving and I had a slight accident on the bike and hurt my foot, so I wanted to not be in a tent. So I'm in this luxury sort of camping, luxury like that camping. Problem is I'm in a cabin exactly like the one you can see behind me, and they are only open in the summer really. It's about to close in 5 days because the weather is turning, as you can see from the leaves on the floor. They've got no heating and no insulation, so it gets really brass monkeys of an evening here. It's actually a 2-bedroom shed, and there are 2 mattresses, so I've put those up against the wall, and my tent, my ground sheet, my air mattress, some pillows, my coat, my bag, just to create some insulation. And there are curtains on each side which reduce the space. So it's I've had a go at insulating the bedroom area. It doesn't really work because there are just gaping holes everywhere in this structure. So I got very cold. There is a single plate electric heater which gives off a little bit of heat to take the edge off, but even though I'm not paying for electricity, it's presumably indirectly somehow funding Putin's war in Ukraine, so that's not cool, and it's not very eco-friendly, and it's an eco-camp, so I thought I can do better than that. And because I've been looking into some ways of heating a similar space in London, in a garage, and came across bioethanol fuels, which you can buy little containers for about 180 quid or more, up to thousands, and they give off about the same heat as electric fire just by burning bioethanol, which is a byproduct of plants. It's like alcohol, basically, bioethanol, so it's alcohol made from plants. But it gives off good heat, and a small amount burns for ages. And basically these things are just boxes, metal tins. I thought, that looks just like a £180 tin. And I thought, well, I could probably do better than that. So what I did was buy a bottle of alcohol, cheers, which burns at 90 degrees, because I was using this camping gas stove to take the edge off, but these containers are quite expensive, and the open flame is a bit, dodgy, given that I've got my tent hanging on the ceiling, etc. So I thought I would use a rainy day to come up with something a little bit better. So what I came up with, using materials I had to hand, which were several beer cans. There is one I made earlier somewhere, but I have left it over there, so you know what a beer can looks like. Unfortunately, you have to empty the beer cans, so you can pour it down the toilet or drink them, or I suppose you could use Coca-Cola, etc. Coca-Cola Light if you're on a diet. Anyway, beer cans are better because they're bigger. So what I've done is basically made a version of a paraffin lamp that is fueled by alcohol. So I'll take this apart for you so you can see what I've done. The design, by the way, is inspired by Star Wars because it's a TIE fighter. If I had my Darth Vader, I would stick him on here, my Darth Vader toy. Anyway, that's when I get back to London, perhaps I'll add that. So this version is made out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cans. This is the fuel source. It's just a small can, same as a Coke can, those 3 centilitres. So you fill this with alcohol, and ideally you would have a wick like this, made of cotton or hemp. But if you don't have that, I bought this and discovered after I set fire to it that it's not actually cotton as advertised, so it just melted, so this is useless. But if you get a proper one, that's good, but if you don't, no problem, because you can just cut up an old t-shirt and roll it up and twist like a rope, and that's perfectly good. 100% cotton t-shirt works. I didn't want to destroy this t-shirt because it's not served its life out yet. It's a bit stained, but it's got some life yet in it. So what I did was use toilet paper instead. You can also get wire wool, which adds a glow and a frizzle, the special stuff, but you don't need it really. For this, a beer can and some twisted up toilet paper. You can actually put the wick through the ring pull to keep it in place, which is quite nifty. There isn't actually a wick in here at the minute, but you get the idea. You want a very small wick, because the bigger the wick, the bigger the flame. In a later iteration I will make an adjuster like a paraffin lamp that can do that with a little screw, but that's next time. So then above that you have another beer can, which is had both the ends chopped off, and it's got a small little window I've cut into it so that you can light the wick and see what's going on, basically without having to do any jiggery pokery. So wick is here, this slots on here. Simple. Position the can so it's just immediately in front of the hole that you cut. And then the next stage is to get another can, leave the ends on, and just cut a hole the same circumference as a beer can and punch some holes through it. Well, this is a heat diffuser. The original one I made was simply like this, and it worked very well, but then I got inspired by the Star Wars idea and added 2 like this, just with, again, holes cut out the same size as a can. It's very easy. This is the only equipment you need, really, is a pair of nail scissors. That's what I used. So toilet paper, nail scissors, beer, and then you've got heating. So then you stick these on here, and you can have them facing whichever way you want, depending on where you want your heat. So at the minute I've got the drinking hole for this one here and on this one here, so it's spreading heat that way, and this heat diffuser just heats up and just gives a warmer glow than just having a naked flame, and protects it from having a naked flame, so there's less fire risk. I would also, with that in mind, suggest not using alcohol. If you use paraffin, you can fill this up with water up to this level, kind of 2/3 up the fuel can, put some stones in there and water, and then just put the paraffin to the last inch or so. That means you can have a shorter wick, and also means that it will be more stable. But of course you can make this stable in many ways. Put it in a saucepan with some water around it, or some stones. Improvise. It's quite easy to make it stable so it won't fall over, but be careful if you have pets or children around, because they can knock it over. Then you've got burning paraffin all over your wooden floor and next to your tent, so probably best not to do that, but it's not hard to make it more stable. In fact, it'd be quite good to have it like one of those toys that you can never knock over that just wobble. That might be iteration 2.0. And then once you're done with the construction, all you need to do then is get a match or a lighter. I shelled out and this you can get for two quid less, bottle of alcohol. Beer is inexpensive if you're not in England. Yeah, scissors you probably have, but I shelled out €1 in the €1 shop on one of these, which works very well because you can stick it in the hole quite easily. A match or anything would do. Light the wick. Be careful because there might be a little woof because the initial vapours catch fire before the wick, but it's just a dramatic sound. It's not actually dangerous. Don't fill the can up all the way to the brim, by the way, with the accelerant, the fuel, because then the whole thing might just pop. So leave an air gap. Yeah, and that's how it works. Obviously it's daytime now, so you do that, and you've got a heat source that gives off about the same as electric fire, depending on the length of the wick. My prototype was this simple can of cassoulet, because I did think that these bioethanol stoves were basically just a tin, and they are. So I ate the cassoulet. This is the advantage of this method of heating, is that you get to drink lots of beer and eat cassoulet instead of buying materials, so that's good. So I just stuffed that full of toilet paper, doused it in ethanol, left a little crack here, which you can sort of adjust, obviously not with your finger when it's hot, but that works very, very well. And just to keep some heat going throughout the night when I didn't want an open flame, put it out, but I put a lump of charcoal here, which had heated up because of the flame around it, and the charcoal kept burning all night, just giving a little amount of heat. But if you had a bigger tin, I recommend maybe a fragrant bentos, delicious pie, or equivalent, a wider diameter, then you could have several coals, and that would keep you warm as well. Just cover it up, and it's fine. Maybe with some foil or a sauce, put it in a saucepan with a saucepan lid on, and yeah, it's completely safe and gives off quite a good amount of heat. Now, if you're actually moving in from, it's now October the 2nd, but if you're here at Christmas or somewhere very cold, I have an idea for you. That means you have to drink even more beer, I'm afraid, involving this, which will be in another video. And I'm also going to show you in another video how to use these as hot water bottles and make a kind of heat sink device using a dustbin, with 4 of these filled with boiling water. That's another story, but you can also have this idea with a wine bottle. Unfortunately they love corks in France, they're very traditional. A screw cap would be perfect, but they're unavailable. But in another video I'll show you how to do this. It's the same principle, with a wick and some paraffin, and they look really quite cool as well. Not as cool as TIE Fighter. Oh, that's the other thing, is this is some black spray paint I've got, and I'm going to spray this black for, theoretically, for heat preservation and insulation, but basically so it matches my bike. I'm going to leave the red stars, I'm going to mask them off, so I think it will look extremely cool as well. But you don't even have to carry this around with you. You can make it in 10 minutes if you're trying to save space on your travels. And in another video that I will show you, I'll give you another idea for heat. If you buy some of these, or actually these are a bit not eco-friendly, I would actually just buy a similar sized roasting tin, which you can get for nothing almost, and some of these, and you make your own disposable barbecue, or non-disposable if you get the roasting tin, such as this. Again, €1 plus charcoal. Use your alcohol as a fire lighter. Cook your dinner on this. Tonight I'm going to be having some fumier de loup, poulet élevé en liberté. So, liberté, égalité, fraternity, and yum yum. Cook it on the coals, and these coals will stay warm very easily for 12 hours. Once they've died down, there's no flame, they're just emitting heat. So then you eat your chicken or save it for your travels the next day. Wrap the coals inside that aluminium tray in one of these, sorry, not one of these, some of this, and leave it in the room that you're in. Probably not a good idea in a tent because it might melt, but for something like this, perfect. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.